In this video, we're going to look at managing the actual content of any given page and at managing the actual article list on your website, which is a little bit different than your standard resource tree. First thing I want to point out is that there's a little bit of confusion here in regards to your articles that I want to make sure you're clear on. First, we've got this folder that says articles, and then we've got a bunch of web links under it. And if you try to edit that actual articles document, you can see it's a web link that points to article ID number 2, which is your actual article list. Now, the reason for this is for your navigation. So this and its child is actually what we're using to generate the navigation elements on the front end of your site for articles and topics. But the actual articles themselves are here in this collection. And it's grayed out because it's hidden from the menu currently. And you can see this list is very different than what you're seeing here in your resource tree. The reason for that is you don't want a resource tree where if I expanded this, you'd see several hundred items underneath it. That gets to be really cumbersome. So instead, we've got this paginated item by item list. And you can set the page count here very easily to any number you want for the sake of easy viewing. Now, it's really important to know that within this is where your origins content is. And then you've asked the question how to get to individual issues within origins to edit content. So you can see the button list here. We've got open, view, edit, duplicate, unpublish, delete. I want to talk about these first three here in general. Open is actually a bit of a misnomer. It's not open the actual resource to edit it. It's open that reference to see if it has any children. In this case, you're going to see this resource does not have any children, but if I wanted to create a child, I could do so. I'm going to go back to the home here, and this becomes important with origins. So I'm going to go ahead and search for origins. And you notice something pretty strange here. Origins shows up, but it's not in your navigation because we've got it hidden. But when I click on open here, now I see all of the issues within Origins. And then if I wanted to go into a particular issue, I could click the open button. And now I see the 2 articles that are currently published within that issue. And I can go back using sort of a breadcrumb display here, back to the issue list and then back to the primary list. So that's the way you can drill down, and if you ever needed to, for instance, when we get around to publishing the next Origins issue, we'd need to go to the Origins content, open that up, and then here is where we'd create a document to enter our new issue, and then once that issue is created, we would open it up and create children there to actually create the content itself. And I think probably for the first issue of Origins you guys need to publish, I may need to go through that with you to make sure that gets done correctly, because doing it here within this context is a little different than doing it in the resource tree. All right, so that's basically how this interface works. Now the second one, view, is exactly what you think it would be, and that is it's going to open that page up on the front end of the website, and then edit is the one you actually need to push to get to actually managing the content itself. And that's really what I want to focus on right now, and that's editing the actual content of pages on your site. And what we go through here within the context of your articles is the same approach we would take for any resource on your site. And that's namely this. Let's say we're creating a new article. I go to Create Child. I'm going to create a document. And this way we're creating an article here at the root level of the list. And what do we do? Okay. Well, right now I've got a Word document here that I want to use as an example. And I'm just going to copy and paste this content out. And I'm going to paste it into our content field. So here we have the content for our article. And now I'm going to put in article title. We could put a long title again. I think you probably saw in a previous video the purpose of these 2 fields. But in most cases the title will be just fine. I'm going to put in my summary text in this case and just grab a couple sentences here from the beginning of the article as an example. And now I want to add some images. And this is the part that we really want to focus on, is how to manage this whole content area of the page. How do all these tools work? What do they do? Etc. Well, first of all, this first tool here is something you're probably not going to want to use very much at all, and that is it switches off the rich text editor and allows you to edit the source code directly. Not a lot of fun for anyone who's not familiar with HTML. Now, this formatting tab is the one you're probably going to use most often, and this is where we're going to find our headers and any superscript functionality. And it's important to note that this is actually a list I can expand and customize. So if there are particular formats or formatting that we need to apply, we can create that for you to some extent with some limitations. For the purposes of this demonstration, let's say we've got a subhead. I could click on that and I could apply header 3. Header 3 is a great level to apply to your in-text headers. It's a nice bold text. It'll stand out and it's not quite as large as a header 2. And header 1 you want to steer away from. That's generally the header level for the page head itself. If you're reviewing, and let me just pull up quickly a page. And this is the header 1 for the page. And this is closer to what a header 3 or header 2 would be. We can show you that here shortly. I'm going to go ahead and save this document. We're not going to publish it, but I'm going to save this document so we can preview it. So even right here at this stage, if I were to go to the View button, here's what we've got. We've got our article title, we've got the date, but we haven't set a date yet because it's not published. That's an important point to me. And this is the published date, and it will not set to any particular date of interest until we actually publish the article, which doesn't matter because at this point it's not publicly available. So this is our subhead 3 or header 3. And just to give you an example of how that works, if I went back here and selected header 2 instead and save this, you see our header 2 is actually colored text. And again, this is a matter of preference. You get to define that how you like. And then we could go on down to a header 4. And this is more like essentially bold body copy, as you can see here. You're welcome to use whichever headers you prefer for your particular article. But again, you've got basically the 3 options, 2, 3, and 4 available. And again, header 2 is going to produce that lighter weight but larger blue type. Header 3 will be a fat, heavyweight, dark type. And then header 4 is basically just bold body copy. Now you also have the additional option where you could you see something interesting happened just there. See, what I did was I deleted back into header 3, and you can see now that entire paragraph is header 3. So instead I want to set that back to normal text, which sets it back to a paragraph tag. Now we can also do this. Now what I'm going to do is actually hold down the Shift key and hit return. Now, important distinction here. A full return produces a paragraph tag with gap in between. A shift return produces a line break, which means that there is no gap in between. This is still considered part of the same paragraph, and there's just a line break tag here at the end of this line. Now I could select this and click on bold, and I could again use that as an additional level of subhead if I wanted to. Okay, so that is our formatting. This will set it back to paragraph. You can ignore quote and code. Those aren't things you're going to run into. And then select either header 2, 3, or 4, depending on your preference for any subheads. And then superscript, if you had, for instance, a superscript number here at the end, we could select that. And then we could go to our superscript tag and put that in place. Now, most cases, when you copy and paste from a Word document with or any word processing document with superscript in place, it should come through in the paste. Okay, so that's our formatting tool. Bold, that's self-explanatory. Italic, again, self-explanatory. Strike through, also self-explanatory. Now, when we come to lists, lists are really great for making sure the format of a section of bullets or numbers formats properly. I can click on ordered list, and if I save here, unordered list, which is bullets. If I save there and I come back here and reload this page, you'll see I now have some nicely formatted bullets here. I could alternatively select that list and convert it to a numbered list and save that. And if we load this page back up again, you'll see it is now a numbered list. And we also have the option of selecting a portion of that list and creating a sublist. In this case, we go from numbered to lower alpha. And we'll load this back up again. Actually, I think I Got to save here. Let's save. We'll load this back up. And now you will see a numbered list with a nested list. And then we'll just go back and get rid of the lists here momentarily. And now let's talk a little bit about loading up images. We've dealt with this. I don't know that you're going to need the outdent, indent very much. Those create block quotes. You're welcome to use them if needed. And if you're not happy with the formatting that results, let me know. We can adjust that as needed. Well, let's deal with the images. So we've got this Insert Image tool. To use this tool, we need to select a space in your text where you want the image to appear. I'm just going to randomly select the end of this paragraph. And we'll go ahead and click this Insert Image tool. You notice we've got a drag and drop screen, so if I had a window open on my desktop, I could drag a file in here and it would automatically upload. Or I can click on Choose File and select an image, and both of these are essentially going to do the same thing. And what that same thing is it will automatically load the file up in your Images Uploads directory in the current year and the current month. You'll see here's the image we just uploaded. And again, if I, for instance, had already uploaded an image, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this one, and I wanted to place it here, I could come and use the same Insert Image tool, but use the Browse command, and you see it's already in here, it's cached, but I could go to Assets, Public, Images, Uploads, 2018, 10. And there's the image. So that's how your system manages uploads. When you drag and drop or select for file upload from inside the content area, it will automatically store it in the current year and month inside Images Uploads. Okay, so let's deal with positioning and captioning. So as you can see, by default, that image is going to float over to the right side and your content's going to flow around it. I could just as easily click on this Edit button. And let me just refresh here to see, make sure you're clear on that. So you click on the image itself, and then that brings up this little edit box, and we click on the edit button. And here in alternative text is where I would put my caption copy. You can type anything in here you need to. Now, a really important note, if you ever need to include HTML markup within the caption, in other words, if this caption needs to include a link to a website or another page, that actually has to be done very differently, and you might want to give me a call to help you out with that, because the way we're set up is captions should be just text. And if we need to include other items, I actually have to do that via the markup, or we have to find another way to manage it, because that can really break things if you include HTML inside the caption copy. Well, for the purposes of this example, we'll go ahead and put caption copy in there, and then we're going to say I want to position this to the left. And you see it jumps to the left and your text flows around, but you notice you do not see the caption. However, if I save this resource and I come back here to the front end and I reload it, you'll see here is my image and here is my caption copy. So it will automatically be displayed. Same thing happens if I were to edit this and say I want to go ahead and position this back on the right. And I'm going to save it. And we'll load it up here. Oh, and see we've run into a problem already. So if I click on edit, you're going to see I've said position right, but I've got a class that's left. That would be no help at all. So we need to clear that class out. I'll explain that to you in just a second, but let's go ahead and save this and load this back up, and you can see there it is on the right. Now that class field is important, and it can be a little cumbersome if you're changing positioning frequently, because what happens essentially when I come here and I edit this image and I say I want to position this to the left, you'll see this doesn't do anything. But let's cancel this. Let's edit it again. Let's clear that class out, and then I'm going to say position left and save. Now if I come back here and edit this again, you're going to see it's applied this left class. So in actuality, this is a shortcut. Using left and right is a shortcut to putting in class left or class right. See, if I manually put that in, you can see it positions it over here. Now, we have a third class option, which is not present in the position menu, and that's full. So if I came here and I said, let's set this position to none, and we're going to set this class to full, Now look what happens. We got full width image. And if I save this and I load it here, now you're going to see we've got a full width. So essentially you've got those three options: left, right, and full. You probably noticed just in this demonstration, if you change this positioning frequently, you are going to run into some challenges trying to use this drop-down list. So in general, your most reliable output is going to come either from just simply placing the image and positioning it once, or by setting the position to none and assigning the class by typing it in. Left, again, just go through these. Right, now you see the position set to left by default because I typed it in. You can put it to none or to right. Click Save, or set to none and put full. So that's the manual entry, which is guaranteed to get you what you want if you're switching things back and forth. Otherwise, if you just place it in, it'll float to the right automatically, or you can assign a position left pretty easily via the drop-down. Hopefully that's clear. And again, your caption copy goes here in your alternative text. And if we need complex captioning, you might want to get in touch with me. I'm going to help you get that set up. Essentially what I mean by that is if you have captions that require specialized formatting or HTML tags within the caption like links, then that's something we're going to need to account for. And if that's something you find you need to do on a fairly regular basis, let me know. We'll figure out a different way to manage that, because doing it this way is simply not going to work. We'll have to put in an additional utility to make sure you've got that option available to you. But that's the basics for inserting an image and positioning an image and captioning an image. And we're going to go ahead and delete this to clear it out and look at just a couple other quick things here. All right, so beyond the image tool, we've got Insert Video tool. In actuality, this tool isn't restricted to videos. It is essentially a code embedding tool. And just to give you an example of how that works, let's go ahead and put in a new paragraph here. We're going to click on Insert Video, and you see it brings up a blank window for you to embed the code from a media service. So let's go to Vimeo, and let's grab just any video here, and you'll see when you're on Vimeo, you've got the share option. It's very similar on YouTube. And you can grab the embed code here. Now the problem with Vimeo, not so much with YouTube, but Vimeo includes a bunch of stuff with the embed you don't really need. Essentially, we need from iframe to iframe. The rest of this stuff we do not need. And also, we want to clear out the manual width and height that is often included with embeds. Now you see all we've got is the iframe. We've cleared out the width and height, and we don't have any of that extraneous information that is included with the embed code. And this, we click Insert. Now you see this comes in really small here. But when I save this and I reload this page in the front end, you're going to see this comes in at the full width of the content. Now that's handled dynamically via the style sheet and some JavaScript. So basically that's just a comment to make you aware that when you insert things as videos here in the back end, it's going to come in real small, but when you save it and load it, it'll show up at full width on the front end of the site. I'm going to go ahead and just clear this out as we continue on. Okay, so that takes care of the embed tool. Again, that would work with any iframe embed utility, whether it's Vimeo or YouTube. The next tool you'll see is the Insert File tool. This is very similar to the Link tool in the way that it operates. The difference being that the Insert File tool creates a link to a specific file on your web server, whereas the Link tool creates a link to either a page on your site or on another site. So real quick, let's just do a demonstration. If I type in link, I'm going to select that text. And again, you got to have it selected in order to link anything to it. Click on Insert, and then let's just, I'm going to choose a file here. Let's see, I've got a couple PDFs. I'll grab one of those. And now I am linked, and it is linked to, and let's just edit this so you can see what it's linked to. It placed it in Assets, Public, Files, Uploads, 2018-10, and there is my PDF. And the text, which you see here, is simply link. And if I wanted to, and I'd encourage you to do so wherever you need to, is just type in the class button. And when I edit this, you'll see now I have link, and it's in a nicely styled button. And were I to save this and load this on the front end, and here is my link, and if I click on that, it takes me to the PDF. that I just entered. Okay, so that is how links work, and again, you can just click on unlink. That's how link files works, I should say. And again, just select any text on your page, click the insert file tool, drag and drop or select. You can also browse, and actually this is a good demonstration to have. If you ever load up the browser window and you don't see the trees over here on the left, you'll see there's this little button here. You click that and that opens this up again. And again, everything is stored inside assets and inside public, and in this case, it's inside files and uploads in 2018 and 10. And here are a couple PDF files. You notice you don't get much of a preview for these. And double click and link. You can find it pretty simple. All right, so as I said, this is very similar to the link tool in that as I select and go to link, insert link, you're going to see a very similar dialog box here. Now, a really important difference with links. You see I've got a URL tab, I've got a resource tab, and I've got an email tab. These are the two that you're going to be using the most. Now, URL is for links that point outside of your site. Say you want to go to google.com. That's fine, works just fine. If I insert this, you can see I get my link, and it's pointing at google.com. Now, if I want to link to a resource on my page, I've got a couple options, but the easiest of which is to click on resource and type in the title of the resource. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to start by typing in the word design, and let's say I'm looking for this document right here. Click on it, and there is my resource link, and I can click edit, and here is now I am linked to this resource ID. Now, take a look at this. I want to demonstrate or describe or explain why the format looks the way it does. You notice when we put it in resource, it came in as an ID number, and now it shows as a URL with this funky configuration. This is the syntax for linking to documents inside your website. It is 2 square brackets, a tilde key, the ID of the actual document, and then end 2 square brackets. Now, you generally are not going to need to deal with that. As I said, you can go to the resource tab and you can type in the name of the resource and simply click on it that way, and then edit your link, and your link will automatically put that format in there for you. And again, if you wanted to, you could put in an email, but I discourage you from doing so, primarily because when you put in mail to links in this way, sometimes you can get spam sent to that email address inadvertently. You can, though, if you want to. You could put in an email, and you could actually put in copy and blind copy and subject and all that directly right here. We're going to cancel that. All right, so that's the link tool. And again, we went over the file tool, which is very similar. This table tool is exactly what you'd think it is. It's for inserting tables. However, because your website is now responsive and table data tends not to be, I discourage you from using that unless you really need to. And in cases where you really need a table, you might want to seek out my help to make sure that it's formatted in such a way that it responds to smaller devices. Sometimes tables can be very problematic for smaller devices. The last items here, we're not really going to worry about clips. I can create some pre-formatted HTML clips for you if they're needed. We've got alignment left or right, which I discourage you from using because it's hard to override via your style sheet, but it is there. You can align center as well. The horizontal rule tool can be nice. In instance here, you've got this line that was part of the Word document. You'd have a lot nicer line, and let's load this up as a view so you can see what I'm referring to. And here you can see that line that came in from the Word document is kind of just a bunch of dashes. Actually, it'd be nicer if you put in a horizontal rule. And we save this, and we'll reload it here, and you can see now you get a nice light gray line that spans the whole width of the content. So that's a nice tool to use. And then the left and right change text direction, that's something you're probably not going to use, and I discourage you from using it unless you absolutely need to. That covers the tools for managing the actual content section of your website pages. And were we done with this, and this was an item we actually wanted to publish, we've got our title, we've got our summary. We'd want to make sure we've got an image selected if we need a specific image selected. Otherwise, we're going to let the system select it for us. And then we'd want to come back, and if this is ready to go live, we could just click Published and Save, and it would automatically publish, in this case, to your articles list, and would be the most recent article that would display on the front end of the website. In this case, because we're not going to publish this, we're just going to close it and let it fall back. Now, I wanted to mention one other quick thing about the articles list, and that is, as you're looking through articles and you drill down, for instance, again, if we were looking at, and let's up the paging and go back to origins real quick. If you're inside a collection, inside the collection, you can see we're 2 levels deep here from home, we're inside of origins. And then again, if I went and opened one of these collections, and let's go back and just show you that again. Anytime I open one of these, you're going to see it goes in and shows the articles within that issue. If I were to close this, you're going to see it sends you all the way back to the dashboard. So you want to make sure if you're inside a nested list, and again, we'll go back and do that again. And we'll open this, and we'll open this just randomly. If you want to get back to the previous level, the way to do that would be to click here in your breadcrumbs to get back to the previous, as opposed to going all the way back to the dashboard. And again, if I was inside one of these and I was editing one of these documents, I would want to click the Back to Collection button as opposed to the Close button. That will at least take me back, and here I can again undrill myself back to the level that I need to in my collection. And that, again, will only really apply probably to your origins content. I think everything else is just going to stay here right on the root level. And you simply go to articles and create your new document, enter the content and manage it just as we just demonstrated, and then publish and save, and it will show up here right at the top and be the most recent in your article list. And again, if you're editing any other content on the site, whether it's resources, click through these and you can see what I'm referring to. Here's your content, and this has, we've got children displayed in books. We've got a little bit of intro copy with a header, and under our template variables, we've got a grid of images displayed. And if I went into any of these and clicked on them, you're going to see the interface is exactly the same. Here's my content. I can manage it the same way we've just demonstrated. That really covers the biggest issues or the biggest activities you're going to be performing within the site. So as you're editing and managing, if you run into particular questions or you need answers to specific issues or run into specific situations that you don't quite see a solution for, be happy to answer those, and we can modify these videos and add new elements and or create new videos for you as needed to make sure you've got all the information you need to manage your site correctly.